You are listening to Sharing Abundance, an In Time Tech podcast. We love the support and thank you for listening. Enjoy!
Good morning and welcome team to the fourth episode of ITT podcast, Sharing Abundance. I am Harshita.
And I'm Ritvik.
And today we have with us a leader with strong management abilities helping achieve our purpose and business goals. There is one quote I would like to unquote and share by Paul Hawking. Good management is the art of making problems so interesting and their solutions so creative that everyone wants to go to work and deal with them. So for us and our listeners, we can develop a sense of management abilities to equip in leadership roles and explore managerial responsibilities or develop professional skills by listening to our guest in today's episode. We are excited to welcome our special guest, Mr. Sunil Urs, the Senior Vice President of In Time Tech. Welcome, Sunil.
Thank you very much, Ashita, and thank you, Ritvik. Thank you both for having me here.
So, Sunil, let's get started with telling the audience about what is your role and responsibility here.
Okay, so this is how I define my roles and in the order of priority. And whenever I have to explain what I do, whether to a client or whether to someone I know, or just like when you guys ask, I always share I'm responsible for the people working from our India offices, and then I'm responsible for the delivery that we have committed to our clients, right? And taking care of in a way that it gets done as per our commitment and with quality. And on top of it, I'm responsible. Along with it, business happens. If we take care of people and if we take care of the deliverable, business is also taken care of. In addition to it, I always, anything that comes along, whether it's directly under me or not, I feel I'm responsible to make sure it happens in the best way, wherein it's aligned with the mission of creating abundance. Okay, that's what I do. Designation definitely is as a senior VP. Most of the development organization rolls into me and I report to Jeet. But the three I said is what I see as a primary responsibility for me every day.
So starting and understanding your roles and responsibility, we would like you to share your personal journey with us.
Okay. I grew up in southern part of India, Mysore, very, very well known for the cultural heritage and for the Mysore Palace is one of the structures even now. Even I've grown up in the city, but every time I look at it with awe. That's the structure and very world famous, right? So that's the city I grew up in. Did my entire schooling all the way up to my engineering. I graduated as a computer science engineer in the year 2000. So that's where I grew, and then I moved to Bangalore for a job. I started my career with Wipro Technologies. I worked with Wipro for about 4.5 years, and then I moved to HP in Bangalore. I worked with HP for 6.5 years. While I was at Wipro and while I was at HP, couple of times I did travel to the US and spent a year and a half first time and about a year next time working at HP Boise in Idaho State. And in 2011 June is when I left HP to join In Time Tech. So this June it will be 11 years for me at In Time Tech. And I joined here because first time I met Jeet was in 2003 March when I went to US for the first time. He was a technical lead in the team that I joined, and then I've been known him ever since. So that's how my journey with In Time Tech started when he reached out, and then we talked and I joined here. When I joined in June 2011 as a company, we were probably about 40 people. 2-year-old and 40 people with office in Jaipur. So when I joined is when we opened the office in Bangalore. At that time, I think we were growing as a company, and it always made sense to have a presence in Bangalore in terms of having the right kind of talent. So that's when Jeet and I talked, and I was based in Bangalore, so we decided to open an office in Bangalore. So I joined as kind of the first employee from Bangalore, And later Rakesh and Vijaya, who were here, they moved back to Bangalore, and then we had other people, and then we grew. So that's how my journey has been in terms of career. As a family, I'm married for close to 16 years now, and I have 2 kids: a son who is 12 years old and daughter who is 4.
That's adorable.
Thank you.
So, when we were talking previously before the recording, so you shared that you are responsible for the work culture here as well. So, when we talk about work culture, people talk about work-life balance. As you shared, you have a family of 4 people. So, how do you manage your work and life together?
Okay. Again, as a company, we always question when the term as a work-life balance comes, because it defines work as separate from life, as if work is not life and anything outside of work becomes life. That's how it lands. Anyway, whoever we, whether you ask the same question to any one of us in the leadership team, we always first define that one, or rather question back, why is it so? So the way I personally see, since you asked me, is life is one. There are times where I spend doing the work in terms of what I'm responsible for, and there are times when I take care of things outside of work. It could be my family, it could be my personal and self-development, it could be friends, it could be anything else that is required, but it's all part of the life that I lead. How do I take care of both? One thing that has worked for me is having a proper structure, right from getting up in the morning, the time I get up, till the time I sleep. For the most part, I'm able to follow that one in terms of, whether it's spending my time to read something, and then doing a workout, and then working here. I have a fixed time. Around that time is when I go back home, spend a couple of hours with family. Then again, evening there will be work or the meetings, take care of that, and again spend some time with family before I go to bed. This is the structured part. Second thing is the setting up the expectation part, both when it comes to work and when it comes to family, right? In terms of when I am available, when I am not available, including the weekends. So having this explicit expectation set has helped, because people know what to expect. Now, when there are times, not everything will go as per this one. Something will need more. Sometimes the work will need more of the time, or something on the personal side will need more of the time. And on both sides, I have had people who have been accommodative whenever that shows up. If work is more, my family has been supportive, like I've been here this whole week traveling. And similarly, when something comes up on the personal side, all the people I work with here have been very accommodative and supportive, right? And as a company also, we've always done that with others. So it has enabled most of us, whenever something comes on the personal side that has to be done, that becomes a priority, no doubt, right? So that's the reason. So we are able to take care of both, and that's how it has been. And like I said earlier, consciously don't say work-life balance, because it says life is not work and work is not life, okay? And that's not what we feel so as a company here.
Yeah, it is more about the priorities. The whole thing is life.
Yeah, everything. As a person, I'm responsible for everything, right? Not just one thing, or not that one is the most important and the other one is not. At the same time, there will be times when one becomes the most important, right? Because it could be something has to be taken care of at that time. Then definitely that is the thing to be done. And it could mean family is the most important and work is next for that situation, or the vice versa, right? Depending on what it is.
So, as you shared, and as we have seen in our organization, we have such kind of a routine or environment which has its employees on and people first. So, how do you manage to create this type of a work culture, and how did you get the idea and you started creating such environment?
Okay. So, I think this people first approach was always there. in the organization. I think it was there from day one, starting from the founders. For me, it was easy because I was able to connect with that very quickly. Somewhere inside, probably that's what also I always believed, that being very well, taking care of the people, focusing on people's well-being more so than being focused on is it getting done, are you delivering, are you on track? Because if I would rather ask how someone is doing, how things are going, and through that get to know how the work is going on, rather than asking directly how is the work going, because in that case it will give a feeling as if person doesn't matter, work matters. So I was able to connect, but then that part was always there here from day one. These days, yes, we explicitly call it as a people first, but as a this was something which was core to the company right from the day one, I can say.
That's why when you said previously that setting expectations explicitly, you would be able to understand the people and their why part of doing things.
In terms of how I personally apply the people first approach, first thing is to get to know the people, right? Just talking, just getting to know them in terms of who they are. It could be sometimes as simple as, okay, where are you from? Where did you study? What did you do? What are your hobbies? What do you read? When I ask these random questions, I always find something is common, which is something which I know about. Then I pick that as a topic of conversation. Right? Let's say when I ask someone, where are you from? And if that person comes from a place which I know about well, then I pick up something on that one. Or if someone says, okay, I read this one, then I ask what kind of books. And if it's something which I have also read, then I pick up the topic. So first thing is to get connected with the person. So moment I get connected, for that person especially, the barrier of, okay, I am this and Sunil is this role is gone. Right? Otherwise, by default, there is always a implicit barrier the designations create. No matter how much we say as a flat work culture, there is always there that, okay, this is mine and then this is Sunil's designation, and what does it mean, right? So moment I have these conversations, that gets broken, and there is a informal way we both get connected, and then we always, whenever I meet, bringing up on that one and then asking, okay, how is it going and all that. So that helps having the connection. Second thing is, after that, let's say either something has to be done or something isn't working. So having this background always helps to really look at what that is. And it's still people first, right? Let's say, for example, I'm working with you, Ritvik, right? And there's something in the project is not working, or let's say you are struggling, or I get to know that something is not. Knowing you already will help me to directly ask, okay, how is it going? Is there something challenging for you on the personal side? Are you able to focus? And what is it? So, and it helps you, and you can
try to connect well.
Exactly, and since we already know one another, or rather already know each other, you can open up and share with me. This is what it was. Let's say I didn't have that background, and if I have to come and ask you directly, it will be very difficult for you to share. Whatever is a roadblock that you are facing, getting in.
Yeah.
So this is through this, I feel first is establishing a connection, and second thing is that using that connect to either create something or solve a problem. And in both cases, always asking or looking from other persons what this person needs or what this person is not able to do, and through that, doing whatever needs to be done. So the what comes at the end, though that is actually what is needs to be done, but that comes at the end. Person to person interaction will come first. A person to person connect will come first, rather. Right. So this is how I apply the people first approach in my conversations with people.
And it's beautiful because whenever somebody gets an opportunity to share whether what the problems they are facing or what challenges they are facing, they are able to connect, and maybe the other person can definitely provide them a solution for that, and the way they were stuck in that problem wouldn't happen anymore in future.
Yeah. at least through this, definitely can provide the solution or can find someone who can provide the solution.
Yeah.
And through this, what we are solving is not getting the work done. What we are solving is whatever is coming in the way of getting the work done. And once that is addressed, work automatically happens.
Yeah, it is not about the work, it is about the people who are doing the work.
Yeah.
That's what people do. And that's what we feel here at Intime Tech. Like for me personally, it is a family. It is not a separate workspace or something. So that's what we can experience.
Yeah, I'm glad. Okay, and one of the things that for us right now is keeping this intact. Like 850 people were growing, right? Until about 2 years back, I knew each and every person in the organization. I could, in the moment I see the person, I knew the name, I call by the name and talk, knowing which project the person is. Now I'm not. I don't know everyone because of the sheer number of people we have. But having that kind of a feeling of, okay, it's a family, it's one big group, is something we want to keep it intact no matter how big we grow as a company.
But sharing my experience with you yesterday night when I met you, I was amazed by the fact that you knew my name and which project I was working on and with which mentor I was working on. So I was really I was amazed and glad to know that okay, I have somebody who knows what I'm doing and when I was hired or what I am facing right now. So if even I don't reach out to you directly, you somewhere still know what is happening within my life or within the project. So that's absolutely amazing to see in our organization, because when I joined here as well, I saw a completely different environment. Like people can talk to anybody in the hierarchy. There's like we have designations, but we can talk to them, and without having the another thought that okay, what would they think of me, or what would they say after I go. So that's how I think this is amazing to be that kind of environment.
Thank you. And that's part of my role. Knowing as much as possible, knowing who is who, what they do, which project, who are they working with. It's part of my role.
So moving to the other part of your role, so the business. So I just want to know about how you handle the business, how you handle the clients, like which projects to take, which not to take, when to say yes, when to say no. So how does those things go?
Okay. When it comes to business, right, business development mostly happens in the US in terms of finding new clients, exploring with new clients, understanding what needs to be done. And once that is done, and then when we understand what requires to be done, and when we are clear about it, making sure it gets done is primarily my focus. Now, in terms of handling the clients and conversations, earlier I used to work closely with our business development team in the US. So whenever there was a new opportunity, a new exploration, or someone reached out, I used to be the first point of contact, and then getting into the first call, understanding what's required, and then once that is clear about the domain and the technology, then getting the technical folks from here being present for the next call and getting into the details. Now it is less and less for me, because we have, for example, Vijaya takes care of most of the part right now in terms of initial customer client onboarding. So earlier, this is how I did. And once it is done, through this process, we always try to look at, is this, first thing is this a win-win relationship? Again, kind of the people first you can apply here. It could result into a big business and everything, but the very first thing is that, is it a win-win relationship? Whatever the prospective customer is expecting from us, is it something we'll be able to do? Expecting not necessarily in terms of capability, expectation in terms of, is there a level of belief and trust from the get-go? And if not, are we able to demonstrate? Will we be able to demonstrate quickly and convert it into a win-win? So these are the few things we always look at. And once it's done, then what is the size of the business? Is it strategic, right? Sometimes, let's say it could just require a small team, a 2-member team or a 3-member team. For the size we are right now, starting with a very small team and then with no possibility of growth will become overhead, right? With the time we have, we need to really look at where do we spend our time, where do we invest our time rather. If it seems like a very small opportunity, not necessarily a growth for the future, we may say no. And it will always be a collective decision between we in the India side and also on the US side. We talk and say, okay, this is what we see. And when we all of us on the same page, that's the decision. Or if we see, yes, it's a new client, there is a strategically important, there is a possibility for the future, let's start small. Then even if it's simple one person, if we need to start with, we will start. Okay? This is how the client interactions initially and then the business part we take care of, right? Whenever there is a new opportunity. Once it is there, once we are working with the client, and then if there are requests, then it is more of an organic growth, and we always take care of it because we already have a team working. And if the client wants to expand, then that means things are going well, we are doing good, and then they have a business need, and we just take care of it.
So, for the young minds and the freshers who are just coming into this domain, who want to pursue leadership roles, so if they try to start their own company, like a startup, so what are your piece of checkpoints or the advice you would want to give them that this should be the checkpoints for management, this should be the checkpoints for leadership, and these are the areas of domain they should focus more because they are starting their own journey?
Okay. Entrepreneurship is something I have not done myself. Then joining here early in the early stage of the organization and working very, very closely. How the founders have done, I've kind of got exposed, and then a lot of times I have kind of, along with them, done this myself also. So one thing I have learned is if someone wants to be an entrepreneur, right, the person needs to be just first thing is to keep the ego aside.
Yeah.
First thing to do for any entrepreneur is to go and get the business. And getting the business means being ready to keep on trying and talking to clients until there is a yes as a response, and not give up. Okay? For me personally, that is the key. Someone who's kept that aside and being willing to go after the purpose until there is an opportunity that shows up, or that opportunity that gets done, right? Not giving up because of initial failures. Okay? Once, let's say, that is done, then I can clearly say, because something I have done very closely is being involved in multiple things. For example, let's say someone over here wants to start a software company on their own. Just knowing how to write code or how to develop an application is not just enough. Knowing the finance aspects of it, knowing the operations aspect of it, right, of running a business, all of that is required. So the person has to be very versatile. Just because someone is very good technically and can come up with some ideas to develop on his own, or can implement someone's requirement very well, is not enough. You need to know, okay, what is the cost of doing this one? What is the profit I need to really be able to make out of this? Otherwise, work will get done, but end of the day, if the business is not making profit, it doesn't work. Same thing with respect to the operations part of it. Okay, what kind of people I need to have, who should take care of what, everything, which may not be directly related to the development side. The other part, by the way, even maybe more important, is the people to work with. Who are those people that I need to get along with, I need to work with to achieve the purpose of why I'm starting this business. This is what I see. Some observing from a distance and some doing it myself.
Yeah, like having interaction with client is the major role So that's why I was asking this question, that if they are ready for a conversation, then how should they approach and what domains and all of that. So in the end, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, Sunil, for making time and joining us for this episode. And for our listeners, hope you got some deeper insights into management and the leadership roles. And till then, stay safe, stay happy, and keep tuning in. Bye.
And thank you very much, both of you, for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed sharing my experiences, and then a lot of the questions you asked also made me go back into the memories, my past, right, and then really look at how it was done, compose it, and then answer it. Okay, it was a great experience for me as well being here.
It was great talking to you, Sunil. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Sharing Abundance. Be sure to visit our website and check out our other episodes at intimetech.com. That is INTIMETEC.com. Thanks again for listening.